Ladies and gentlemen, it is Sunday. It is episode 29. It is your Yellow Card Podcast. Welcome to episode 29. Your host, as always, Diego Galvis. With me, Chris Jones, Andrew Fasciano. Boys, what a week. Again, it seems like we are just riding into big weeks coming up. A lot of action, a lot of emotion, a lot of possible upsets bound to happen. Um, it just feels like the whole world of sports. It's in a bigger scale this whole entire month. You got free agency happening in football. You got March Madness, of course, in basketball, and now you got Champions League, Europa League, FA Cup, and everybody versus everybody. So we got a lot to talk about.
It would be a great time of year if we didn't have the fucking international break next week.
I almost feel like it's needed just so that
it is 100%. But I'm not happy about it.
Breath, so that we can able to catch our breath because this whole entire past couple of 3 weeks it's been action after action after action after action.
I want more action. Give it to
me. But speaking of action, let's get into the earlier part of the week. Champions League kicked us off for the week. Chris, I know you've been keeping tabs. I know we have some predictions. Want to take it away?
Yeah, when the page wants to pop up, there it is. So last week in the Champions League, quick shout out to Mr. Fasciano with the 4-0 slate. So round of applause for him. No, that's when you put your hand up and say thank you. You only clap for other people. You don't clap for yourself. Point, magic. Do the magic point. There it is. Everything to magic. Andrew had Real Madrid winning 2-1. Real Madrid won 3-1. He had City winning 4-0. They won 2-0. He had Bayern winning 3-0. They won 2-1. And he had Chelsea winning 2-1 and they won 2-0. Diego and I both went 2-2. Quite frankly, both getting Atalanta wrong, but we're still not sold on Real Madrid. I'll eat it till the grave. We both predicted City and Bayern to win, which is probably the easiest thing of all time. And then I had a draw between Chelsea and Atletico, and Diego had Atletico winning. And those didn't happen because Chelsea won. So I am currently still the top dog at 68-46. Diego 60-54, and Andrew Fasciano joins the 10 games over 500 club at 37-27.
What am I at, like 250?
Now. This past Friday, we got the draws for both the Champions League and the Europa League. So we're going to start with the Champions League, and we're going to start with the first two draws that happen on the 6th of April, which is going to be after the international break, which we alluded to earlier. So the first matchup we're going to talk about, and man, it pains my heart that we have to talk about this, but Real Madrid and Liverpool. This matchup, two Titans, one in the La Liga and one in the English Premier League. I'm going to start with Fasciano here because he hasn't talked yet. Give me what we should expect in these two legs against each other.
Yeah, bless us with that voice. Come on.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting, right? Because on paper, you got the rematch of the final that they played a couple years ago, 2018, I want to say that was. But in reality, I think it's also fair to say that neither team is quite what they were at that point in time. They're both not playing quite as well as we've seen Liverpool and Real Madrid play in the past couple of seasons. So I'm expecting it to be a competitive one. I mean, I think they're still both good teams, and on their day, they can pull up a pretty impressive performance. Personally, I think that Liverpool has the edge over the two legs. I would guess that, you guys both picked Atalanta to beat Real Madrid. I went with Real Madrid, but even so, I'm not super convinced by Real Madrid. I don't think they're gonna move on past this stage. Really, I think we've seen in La Liga that they are not easy money top dog like they often are. They're in a pretty competitive battle right now with Atletico Madrid, who have a game in hand and are 3 points up. So they have the ability to go 6 points clear at this stage. And yeah, I just feel like, Liverpool, they've had a ton of injury struggles. They haven't been at their best, but I think on their day, they can still pick it up and get the results. And they're not going to win the Premier League this year. So why not focus a little bit more on the Champions League and try and get some nice results there? Whereas Real Madrid, I think, still need to be going for La Liga, considering that they're still kind of within touching distance at this point. So I think there are more factors in favor of Liverpool than Real Madrid at this stage in the season.
And I don't know if you can hear outside, but someone is mowing their lawn outside of my house. And Diego, go ahead while I just yell at somebody.
Frankly, I'm not too bought into the whole Real Madrid thing yet. Personally, I feel this struggle just continues to be absolutely real. Even though they are in second place in La Liga, I know they trailed by 3 points to Atletico. That lead should be far more extended by Atletico, considering that they fell asleep on the wheel. But even given that, it's Real Madrid. You're the top, by the number one club in all of Europe in terms of money and the legacy that you've built around that money, right? Who do you have to count with? Marco Asensio, Benzema, and maybe just maybe Luka Modric. That's your big three. Then you look at Liverpool and you're looking at Mane, Firmino, Mo Salah, Diogo Jota is coming back on. You got Wijnaldum, who's playing phenomenal football. You got Thiago Alcantara that at any point he can just give a performance that nobody ever expected. So realistically speaking, in terms of depth, I think Liverpool has far more to offer than what Real Madrid does. I'd be surprised if Real Madrid is able to stay put like during the first half of both legs to defend themselves. But quite frankly, I think for Sergio Ramos and Rafael Varane, those big three are gonna be a major concern. What I'm excited to see though is Liverpool get revenge on Sergio Ramos, especially Mo Salah on Sergio Ramos after Ramos intentionally, you know, got him injured with that arm injury a few years back where he pulled his arm, put him to the ground. So I'm dying to see Mo Salah get his revenge, do what he needs to do. Even though I'm a United fan, like to me that kind of dirtiness doesn't go very well, regardless of who you are. Um, so I'm saying here personally, Liverpool's got the lead here. They'd be stupid not to get penalized on it.
Boys, I'm not going to lie to you. When I was looking at the draw and I was looking at the teams that we'd have to potentially play, I sat there, and the one team I really wanted to play was Real Madrid. Because think of it like this. Bayern Munich's a wagon. Man City's a wagon. Dortmund's tough. You don't want to go up against Erling Haaland. PSG, Kylian Mbappe's playing on a different stratosphere. Chelsea, you know how Thomas Tuchel has that team playing right now. And Porto already having the upset over Juventus, looking for another one to get into the semifinal. Something I wanted no part of. This is the team I wanted Liverpool to play. And I just think I don't think Courtois is a good goalie. I really don't.
No.
And Liverpool, you're going to hate me for saying this, Diego, but we're finally going to see that three-headed monster of Diego Jota, Mo Salah, and Sadio Mane finally get going.
Oh, I'm not hating it. I'm not hating it.
Firmino's not right on. Firmino's not going to be on the pitch as much now that Jota's back.
That's true.
Because the chemistry that Jota has with Sadio Mane and Mo Salah is a big reason why I think they stay next year. Is to play with him. Firmino could be moved. Firmino could accept his bench role. Who knows? But we'll find out in the summertime. But for me personally, Liverpool's most favorable matchup is this right here. They just play a better style than Real Madrid does. Real Madrid is too inconsistent. And even at times against Atalanta, they didn't look that great. Liverpool walked over Leipzig at one point. Leipzig was controlling the whole point of the game, and Liverpool just stomped on them. Scored 2 goals. Literally, they did it in both games. So I expect Liverpool to take the road aggregate game. I think I won't give the score prediction, but I think they'll be up going into home or the neutral site game where it counts as their home game. And I think they'll be able to move on. I think this is if you're a Liverpool fan like myself, this was the matchup that you wanted to see.
I mean, I just thinking back as to what you said and what you started with. When was the last time you wished that any of your teams that you rooted for landed against Real Madrid? Like when in Champions League history, have you ever wished, oh, I want to get Real Madrid because everyone else is so tough?
Before
when did you ever consider them tough?
Before Cristiano Ronaldo went there.
No. Before Cristiano Ronaldo went there with Luis Figo, Zinedine Zidane.
Dude, they were dominant when Cristiano Ronaldo was there. But Real Madrid, you had a better chance of beating them without Cristiano Ronaldo than you do with him, in my opinion.
I'd say that's arguable.
You can easily make an argument
because
for it.
Before Cristiano Ronaldo, it was a Galacticos era. And that Galacticos era, dude, that was unbelievable. You had people like Guti, who is an underrated player, in my opinion.
Agreed.
The dude was like the Andres Iniesta at the time of Real Madrid.
Oh, no, I understand you. Don't get me wrong. But if you look at like the past numbers and stuff like that, the span where they had Cristiano Ronaldo up until that like brief little bit before he came from United, it just
of course. I mean, you got Cristiano Ronaldo, who's a lot faster and more attacking.
Exactly. That's the only argument I'm making out of that. It's the only argument I'm making out of that.
I think out of the two teams, I don't know. That's a compelling argument. I think both teams are just.
We can get into this debate later, but let's move on to the next quarterfinal matchup. Let's talk Man City and Dortmund. This one's going to be interesting. I'll start off.
What a battle!
I think City's going to win because they're going to be able to contain Erling Haaland, which no other team has been able to do so far in the Champions League. I think he's the youngest ever to score 20 goals in Champions League in like a short time span or something like that.
I think so. I think him actually
something like that.
Mbappe has tied for it.
So obviously, we were hoping to get Dortmund and PSG, but the cards didn't play that way. For me personally, City is just too talented, has too much depth, and Dortmund looks good. They look a lot better than they did at the beginning of the season. But again, if Erling Haaland leaves, they're not going to be the same team. And I think this is going to be a tell sign of whether or not Erling Haaland stays this summer or not. Because they could beat a team like Man City right now, who's probably one of the hottest teams in the world. I think that they'll solidify Dortmund being his club for the near future. So personally, I think City wins after the two legs and they move on to the semifinal.
Okay. All right.
Andrew?
Yeah, for me personally, I think this is actually the matchup that I'm most excited for. I agree with you. I think City deserve to be the favorites. On paper, top to bottom, they have a more talented and deeper team, and not just their first 11, but their bench and reserves as well. Not many teams can compete with them with that regard in terms of depth. But I do disagree on one point, and that is I don't think that Man City will be able to contain Haaland. Where I think Man City will have the clear edge is going at Dortmund's defense. I have some questions about Dortmund on the defensive end. I think we saw that when Haaland was out injured, that when they needed to play a more defensive style and were more on the back foot without that outlet that he provides, there were a couple games where they gave up a lot of goals. And just the other week, we saw them give up 4, I think, to Bayern, which any team can give up 4 to Bayern at any time, but it's not the most encouraging sign, I think it's fair to say. So I think it's going to be really interesting just because I'm excited to watch Haaland do his thing against one of the best teams in the world. And although I said Man City is the favorite, and I think that they will win probably, they have had histories of struggling at this point in the Champions League. They haven't really made a deep run past the last 8 that I can remember. And sometimes all you need is that one key piece who can take control of the game and make a difference. And there's no denying that Erling Haaland can be that for Dortmund. So I think Man City should advance and has everything in the tank that they need to advance. But I'm very interested in seeing how this one plays out just because of the storyline of Haaland going up against a team that he could even potentially be playing for next season. I think there's a lot of star power in this one, so I'm excited for it.
All right. Personally, for me, I'm not sure that I'm too deeply worried about Haaland. I get it. He's been on a scoring tier. He's been phenomenal. He's been performing to the best of his career thus far and whatnot. Here's the problem, though. You're facing Kyle Walker, Stones, Ruben Diaz, Joao Cancelo. Who do you have as a backup to feed you the ball? You got Marco Royce, and you got Jadon Sancho. Guess what? Jadon Sancho can be shut down by Riyad Mahrez, and Marco Royce can be shut down by Ilkay Gundogan. Manchester City into this whole entire game, into this whole entire leg here, they got a higher chance of being far more competitive and a deeper threat to that defense that Andrew mentioned earlier than Borussia does on their own. Those four that I mentioned before for Manchester City, they're playing their best defense that they've ever played thus far. Joao Cancelo has looked real good. Kyle Walker, every time that he walks into the pitch, man, he's just a different man every time. Ruben Diaz has been containing everybody and anybody. It's hard to get through him. And when you want to get into the physical end of things, you got Stones. Stones is not afraid to go hand in hand against anybody and anybody. If I was Borussia Dortmund right now, I'd be heavily concerned about how I lined up, especially against the likes of Gundogan, Kevin De Bruyne, Riyad Mahrez, maybe even Sergio Aguero, who is looking to come back. And best assured that if he's given an opportunity, that dude is going to capitalize big time. You got Phil Foden, who continues to play really, really good. Zinchenko showed us yesterday what he's capable of as well. Raheem Sterling, yeah, his form has been questionable as of late, but he's still a huge contributing part to that offensive line of Manchester City. And never mind Fernandinho or Ferran Torres. So overall, when I look at Dortmund is absolutely nobody without Erling Haaland. We've all said it before, and we'll say it again. Marco Reus is not the same person that Dortmund at one point relied heavily on. And to be quite frankly honest, I'm not sure that Jadon Sancho is the answer for Borussia Dortmund at this point, considering that he doesn't have another supporting role that can help him advance. So I think if anything, if I was Dortmund, I'd be heavily concerned. I wouldn't be as cocky and as arrogant as Erling Haaland is coming into this. And also, keeper-wise, Manchester City has a very strong keeping background. You got Zach Steffen, who looks phenomenal. You got Moray, who looks phenomenal as well. So, I don't know. For me personally, I hate to say it, but this is a Manchester City deep run right here.
So to go on Andrew's point about the last time the City made it out of the quarterfinals, it was the 2015-2016 UEFA Champions League. They beat PSG in the second leg after tying 2-2, and then they lost 1-0 to Real Madrid in the semifinals. Other than that, they've struggled to get out of the quarterfinals. But this is the one thing that Pep hasn't won with Man City, and I think that's why they're poised to go on a deep run here. But let's move into the other ones. Let's talk Porto Chelsea first. I think we can easily talk about this one. We'll let Diego start off here.
You know, it's funny to say that it's easy to talk about Chelsea possibly winning.
Well, no, it's not by easy. I think it's more. There's less. What's the word I'm looking for? Like in the other three matchups, there's the histories of the clubs and stuff like that. Where Porto, it's like there's less dynamics to talk about. I think you can say.
Maybe, yeah. I think
I'm just talking overall. I'm not talking about like right now. I'm talking about like overall and like their history and stuff like that. So
I think overall, like this might be as deep as Porto could get. If they can get past Chelsea, that might be the deepest run they can get in this year's Champions League edition. Just simply, everyone else is beyond stacked against a Porto side that continues to defend their own ground. However, Porto playing against Chelsea right here is a phenomenal matchup. And the reason why is because Porto continues to be that undermined dog that they have so many presences available where they can surprise at any point. They got Mateo Zuribe playing in the middle, who, I mean, just last game against Juventus, he was a key reason as to why Oliveira was able to get those penalties because he
Yep.
was feeding him the ball and creating chances in the middle. You had Marega as well, who's been freaking phenomenal. And in fact, I think if I was Porto and I'm looking to invest deeper into my team, I sell him off, get some big money so that I can make a deeper run into 2022. You got Taremi playing as well. Taremi, unfortunately, I think he picked up a red card, so he won't be available for this matchup, or I think the next matchup as well. So unfortunately, that's a down. But you also got Corona and you got Pepe actually still looks real good too, defensively wise. And Pepe is one of those guys that he can be strong against somebody like Oliver Giroud or maybe even a Timo Werner. So I think overall, this is actually going to be a very close match, in my opinion. I wish both sides good luck because, I've been a big advocate of Chelsea ever since they got Tuchel. I think, and the Tuchel, they're just a whole different story. But for me, Porto wise, like that is the one underdog that I just continue to see giving results and slapping people left and right. And I'm just like, keep on proving yourselves. Just keep on doing it.
No, I mean, for me personally, I think when we talk Porto, we have to give a good portion of the success to their goaltender, Martian. He's just been unbelievable so far in this Champions League run. The way he played at home against Juventus in the first leg was unbelievable, and he carried it over into the second leg. And usually when you get a hot goalie like that, usually they fizzle out a little bit. So it's not that I think Porto's going to get demolished, but I think Chelsea has a step above. Only because the talent on Chelsea, especially under Tuchel, the way they're playing right now, like you said, you gave them all your praise. And I'm doing the same thing. I just think that Chelsea is playing a different type of game right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the way that they compete and the way that they play, I think it's going to be a struggle for Porto. So I'm going to ride Chelsea.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. I think Chelsea are deserving of being called the favorites before this one begins. But at the same time, I think it's obviously very important for them not to overlook Porto, which is why I liked the comments that Thomas Tuchel had, I believe yesterday or maybe the day before, where he was kind of asked about, where can you go in the FA Cup and the Champions League? And he's like, yes, it's possible to beat Sheffield United. And yes, it's possible to beat Porto, but these are not guarantees. These are not things that are going to be easy. We're going to have to be locked in to get the job done. But, the possibility is there. I like that mindset, like you're in a situation where you're the favorites. You can win in advance, but you know that you're in for a dogfight with this Porto team.
Mm-hmm.
They demonstrated that in the last round against Juventus. They're not to be taken lightly. They might not have the financial backing or maybe international talent that a team like Chelsea has, but they work together well, and I think they can give them a very competitive game. Chelsea, like you guys both said, have been clicking super well under Thomas Tuchel. I was actually a little disappointed, not by them in the last round, but by Atletico, because I thought that was going to be a chance to see two really, really good defensive teams go head to head, and Atletico just kind of let me down a little bit. But Chelsea, on the other hand, I thought played pretty well in that leg, or across both legs in that round of 16 matchup. They have been very good defensively. They're on an unbelievable run under Tuchel, like you guys said, and I think they have earned the right to be called the favorite for this one.
I agree.
The last game we're going to talk about, and boy, this is like we're getting a rematch of last year's Champions League final in Bayern Munich and PSG in the quarterfinals. Personally, this is just going to be a bloodbath. There's a lot of history here. PSG's going to look to want to win after losing last year. Maurice Pochettino and company are going to have a chip on their shoulder, and I think they're going to come to play. Don't mistake this from me taking PSG, but I think Bayern Munich overall is just a better team, and there are pieces to Bayern Munich that might not be at Bayern Munich next year as well. So depending on what they do long term, we could start to slowly see a dynasty run happening here from Bayern Munich. But overall, I just think these two legs are going to be unreal. It's probably going to be the headliner of the Champions League quarterfinal.
Yeah. I mean, I think overall, this is like the most exciting matchup of the full entire draw, in my opinion. There is so much, like you said, there's so much history there, and it's also so many common factors. Eric Choupo-Moting used to play last year for PSG. Now he's playing for Bayern Munich. Now you also got Mauricio Pochettino, who's played against Bayern Munich himself, and he's got some scores to settle there as well. So I mean, all in all, a phenomenal matchup. You also got a Kylian Mbappe who's playing unreal at this point. You got Robert Lewandowski, who continues to be a mean scoring machine. I mean, just I think later this week he had a hat trick in less than a first half.
Yep.
You got a Keylor Navas who's looked real sharp too. You also got a Manuel Neuer who's been phenomenal as well. So all in all, this is a great clash. Whoever wins, in my opinion, is poised to raise the cup this year. I think the only factor though is the home advantage starting at the Allianz Stadium for Bayern Munich. That is one of those stadiums that no matter who plays there gets absolutely ruined because Bayern Munich always makes their home respected. So that's the only thing that I can think of aside of players wise and management wise that I think could be a contributing factor. Other than that, I mean, Pochettino, ever since he took over PSG, it's like the same exact transformation as Thomas Tuchel into Chelsea. It's just been a completely different team, and the way that Kylian Mbappe is playing right now is like Pochettino just lit a fire under him like never before. Honestly, the way that Kylian Mbappe looks right now is like early shades on when Pochettino took over Tottenham, and we saw the beast of Dele Alli develop. So, in my opinion, this could even go to PSG side, even though I think Bayern Munich is an extremely powerful team. PSG is just riding with a lot of emotion, and they're playing their hearts out in every single game. And it's something to not undermine, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree with what both of you guys have said. I mean, this is going to be an incredible matchup. I think it can't be understated how good Bayern actually are. Like their last game in the league, they went down to 10 men like 12 minutes into the game and still won 4-0, which is just absurd. Like they have so much firepower in order to be able to do that. But at the same time, as Chris pointed out, PSG are going to have so much motivation for this game and these two games after what happened in the final last year, where they came so close. Basically, for PSG, it's been Champions League or bust for a number of years now. They haven't managed to do it. They came so close last year and Bayern stopped them. I think they're going to be extremely motivated to try and flip the script and do things differently this time around. Neymar, I believe, should be back. He was out against Barcelona, but he'll be coming back for this, which is vital for them. I think if they were without him, they would probably be less competitive for sure. But sometimes, like I said when I was talking about Man City versus Dortmund, all you need is just a player or two to produce a moment of brilliance, and you can change the course of the tie. And PSG certainly has players who can do that in Mbappe and Neymar. I think I would say that Bayern are the favorites and should be the favorites, but I could see PSG pulling this off. If they can get a decent result in the first leg, like Diego pointed out, starting out with Bayern at home. So if they can keep it competitive in the first leg and come home and use that home field advantage and put in a good performance, it's not impossible. The other thing that I could see happening.
Sorry, folks, we got a very tired and hungry beaver among us, and I don't know what's going on with him.
It's a low energy Sunday.
I don't know what's going on, dude. I've never yawned so much in a podcast recording ever.
And it's not like Andrew's giving us boring takes. He's giving us good stuff.
I know. It's not him. It's not him. Trust me.
The other thing that I could see is, like Chris said, this matchup has the potential to be such a bloodbath. Like, I could see whoever wins this matchup just kind of being at half strength for the next round because it could potentially take so much out of them. So I think if you're Man City, obviously at first flush, you probably don't want to see Bayern and PSG in your little quadrant for the semifinals draw. But given the fact that they're playing each other, one of the two of them could be ripe for the picking if it's a highly competitive, exhausting matchup. So you never know. You never know. But yeah, I'm excited for this one. It's going to be a great two legs.
Absolutely.
Like Andrew hinted at, real quick, what do you think? So basically, we know what the semifinal matchup will be. It'll be the winner of Bayern and PSG versus the winner of City and Dortmund. And on the other side, it's the winner of Real Madrid and Liverpool versus the winner of Porto and Chelsea. So with that being said, real quick, just going down the line, now that we know what the final three of the quarterfinal, semifinal, and final look like, what do you think the final is going to be? Because we've been saying Bayern and City all year, and unfortunately, we might get it.
It's not going to happen. Yeah.
So, what do you think is the final that we're going to get now?
My gut feeling right now says Man City versus Chelsea in the final.
Yeah.
My gut feeling says PSG versus Chelsea.
My gut is telling me Bayern Munich versus Chelsea in the final.
So we all see Chelsea in the final.
Yeah,
right?
we all like Chelsea.
I mean, not for nothing, but if they get past Porto, they're going to be fine with either Real Madrid or Liverpool, unfortunately.
Yeah. But, all right, we've done enough talking about the Champions League. We also got to talk about the Europa League, which also we saw the draw. We also saw the draw happening there. Man, just a quick brief update.
Hold on. I'd like to make one thing. Can we please have a moment of silence for all Tottenham fans at this very moment?
I was just about to say that, actually.
Thank you. All right, ready? A moment of silence for Jose Mourinho and Tottenham.
Sorry, I can't hold it.
Thank you.
But, all right, so real quick down the line, Arsenal Olympiacos ends 1-0 on the second leg. The aggregate, however, is 3-2. Arsenal moves forward. Olympiacos picked up a red card in there. Dynamo Zagreb versus Tottenham. Tottenham had the lead. They absolutely blew it. 3-2 aggregate. Dynamo Zagreb moves on. Molde and Granada. Granada moves on with an aggregate of 3-2. Roma versus Shakhtar Donetsk. Roma 2-1. The aggregate is 1-5. So obviously Roma moves on. Villarreal, Dynamo Kiev. Dynamo Kiev didn't even stand a single chance here. 4-0 Villarreal. Slavia Praha versus Rangers, the one game that we all thought was going to be a lot closer than this. Unfortunately, it is the end of the story for Rangers. They picked up a red card then, and the aggregate is 3-1. Slavia Praha moves on. Manchester United versus AC Milan. This is the one game that we all knew was going to be extremely close. It ended up being so with a 2-1 aggregate of Manchester United moving on. Ajax versus Young Boys. Ajax annihilated Young Boys with a 5-0 score. So now the quarterfinal draw is Arsenal versus Slavia Praha, Granada versus Manchester United, Ajax versus Roma, and Dynamo Zagreb versus Villarreal. Now, I think we all made predictions last week of who we would see moving on for the Europa League. Chris, if you want to give us an update real quick on that.
Yeah, I mean, we all had the same 8 teams after the first aggregate. So we all went 6-2 on that. And then, when we were talking off air about these matchups, none of the ones that we thought were going to happen happened. Yeah. So it's kind of curious for me to see how we look. So honestly, I say with the Europa League, because I feel like we're going to have so much Champions League to talk about that week of when they first play. So I think for the Europa League right now, I think we should pick who we think will go to the semifinal and then pick who we think is going to be in the final and who's going to win at this very point.
All right.
So I'm going to get my pen
Yeah, let's start it off with you, Andrew.
That is me. That is Diego, and that is Andrew.
So we're just picking semifinal in itself, right?
We're gonna do so. Right, we're just gonna do the remainder of it and see what it looks like, and see what we think as of right now with change. So obviously start off Arsenal and Slavia Praha. Who do you think?
I hope Arsenal absolutely obliterate them after what happens. I mean, like, I'm not a Rangers fan by any stretch of the imagination, but there's absolutely no place for that sort of racist abuse that went on, like not just in the game, but the reaction from some of the Slavia Praha fans that I saw on social media afterwards with making banners and stuff. Just disgusting.
Disgusting fan.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I'll write down Arsenal for you. Diego. Arsenal and Slavia Praha.
Oh, Arsenal all the way.
Okay. I'm gonna be different here. I'm gonna say Arsenal as well.
I was gonna say, if you say Slavia Praha, you officially kicked off the podcast.
All right, let's go into who they would potentially face in the semifinal: Dynamo Zagreb or Villarreal. We'll start with Diego here.
Villarreal.
Part of me kind of wants the crazy story of Dynamo Zagreb with their manager in prison.
We already got it. We already got it. Don't worry.
That's true. Yeah, I think Villarreal are the better team. I think they should win that one.
Okay, I'm also going to go with Villarreal as well. All right. The other quarterfinal that will go into the semifinal draw: Ajax and Roma. I personally am going to trust Roma here. I'm going to go AS Roma.
All right. Uncle Drew?
I'm going to go the other way and go with Ajax. I've been a big supporter of Ajax in European competition this season, so I have to stick with them and say that they're going to advance.
Fine. What's your name? Oh, Diego.
The ref. Personally, it's just so difficult to pick between Ajax and Roma. They're both such a good story right now. I'm gonna go with Ajax. That's difficult.
Who's Ajax? I know Ajax. I don't know Ajax.
I call him Ajax.
Jax, you talking like the cheese curls, Jax? Like, what are we doing here?
Speaking of cheese curl, let's move on. Cheese curl.
Last quarterfinal, Granada and Manchester United. I'll start. I think Manchester United.
I agree. Manchester United.
Diego?
You already know.
Granada, got it. All right. So with this, really quick, if this is how it plays out, semifinal draw, start with Andrew here. Arsenal, Villarreal, who wins that?
I think Arsenal does. I think we've all been saying for a while now that this Europa League is pretty make or break for Mikel Arteta and the future at Arsenal. I think they need to get to the final based on how the draws have worked out. So, yeah, Arsenal.
Diego, Arsenal or Villarreal?
I unfortunately have to disagree with Andrew. I actually think it's Villarreal. I think Parejo and Moreno are just a big difference in itself for Villarreal, something that Arsenal's not ready for, in my opinion.
Who I agree with, Diego or Andrew?
The ref?
I agree with this. All I'm going to say is I agree with the smart one in this. So I'm going with Andrew and Arsenal, taking Arsenal over Villarreal.
Wow. All right.
So for you guys, you're picking between Ajax and Man United. I'm picking between Roma and Man United. So we'll start with Diego, Ajax or Man United?
Man United.
Okay. Andrew?
It's a tough one. If that game happens, I think it would be a very good one. I think Ajax is kind of one of those teams that plays really well together as a unit with less star power. But
punch him in the mouth again, will you?
No, I'm going Man United. I think they have. It takes a lot of talent to be sitting in second in the Premier League at this stage of the season, and I think that would be enough to
it would actually be wonderful to see Donny van de Beek play against Ajax.
Yeah, true. That would be a special game for him.
I can't wait to see where he goes next year because he's not staying.
No, he's not staying. He's miserable at Manchester United.
Not a
He
chance.
said it himself.
I'm gonna go different here, and I'm actually gonna say
Of
that
course you are.
Roma is gonna be Manchester United, only because of the fact of we saw how good the Serie A side and AC Milan played against Manchester United. I think we see the same, and I think Roma has just like that little edge over them in like a randomness. So I'm gonna go Roma. So I'm picking between Arsenal and Roma to win the Europa League. I'm saying Arsenal. So Diego's picking between Villarreal and Man United. I'll star Man United for you.
Thanks.
Andrew, Arsenal or Manchester United?
Manchester United, I think.
All right. So those are our Europa League predictions for right now. Obviously, stay tuned as we will talk about them more. But the last thing that we're going to talk about on the show this week is the FA Cup.
The
because
FA Cup. Yes, sir.
we're
We had
here.
a lot of action
We're
happening
here.
there. We had a lot of action happening there. First of all, I'm going to give the next 5 minutes of air to Mr. Andrew Fasciano to talk to us about his takes on the Everton versus Manchester City game, because we were talking about this off air, but I want to hear it on air. I want to hear on record where you're at right now.
I want to hear the passion in your voice. Remember last week when we talked about the away goal? I want to hear that kind of passion as an Everton fan. I don't want to hear yes. I want to hear passion. Give it to me.
Okay. Well, I mean, obviously, you never want to see your team eliminated in a cup competition, so it's disappointing in that sense. But if I try and take a step back and think about the bigger picture and, you know, the overall narrative, I can't really be disappointed with how Everton played yesterday. I think a week ago when we were making our predictions, I'm pretty sure I picked Everton, but with the caveat that if we played like we did against Burnley, we would get absolutely destroyed. And we did not play like we did against Burnley. It was a good performance, I would say, given the circumstances. So let's review those circumstances quickly. First off, Abdoulaye Doucouré and James Rodriguez both injured out of the lineup for Everton. James Rodriguez, obviously our most important creative piece, kind of our X factor match winner type of player. And Abdoulaye Doucouré, I think he's been kind of underrated, to be honest with you, for Everton this season. That guy's engine in midfield is just incredible. He'll run all match long. He's there on the defensive end. He can bring the ball forward. So he is a big piece to be missing in a game like this against Manchester City, when you need as many players like that as possible to cover the space and put pressure on an opposition that's going to have the ball for the majority of the match. And then also our two senior goalkeepers, both out injured. João Virginia, 21 years old, comes into what I believe was his third senior appearance for Everton. And I thought he gave a very good account of himself. I thought he was very solid. I mean, he didn't have to make a huge number of saves, but when he did, he stepped up and looked confident and commanding. He made one very good save against Raheem Sterling, I think it was, at one point in the second half. I'm not sure what's going on with these two guys, but
sorry, I'm breaking character. I'm sorry. I'm not nothing to do with you. I'm sorry. Just breaking character. Sorry.
And then I mean, I kind of like going into the game, I thought that if obviously for Everton, keeping it 0-0 as long as possible is going to yield the best result, because you're not going to go toe to toe in a shootout with Manchester City and outscore them. So they did do that pretty well. They kept it 0-0 past the 80th minute. Once we got into the 80th minute, I started thinking, you know, this could go to extra time here. We could get this to penalties and actually have a chance. And then, of course, Ilkay Gundogan, who is in the goal scoring form of his life, kind of broke the deadlock on a weird play where the ball went over João Virginia's head, hit the crossbar, and came back out, and he didn't have any chance to get back in position to make the save.
Okay, so it did go over his head, because like on TV, it kind of almost looked like he saved it with his head. It bounced off the post, but I wasn't sure what happened there because the angle that the camera was on for the game, it was so weird too. I was just like,
Yeah.
what the hell happened there?
I thought that he got a hand to it and deflected it up onto the crossbar. So he made the initial save and then it just came back and immediately the rebound was put in. Then Kevin De Bruyne iced the game a couple minutes later, 2-0. I mean, yeah, like I said at the start, obviously it's disappointing to lose in a knockout competition, but Manchester City are the best team in England. That is something that they've demonstrated over the course of this season. And I thought that all things considered, Carlo Ancelotti did a good job of setting up Everton to try and deal with the pressure that was going to be coming. And I thought that the players showed up and did their best to fit into that system. And in the end, they gave Manchester City a really competitive game. So I think disappointing loss because we're out of the competition, but a lot of positives in terms of players who stepped up for injured pieces and also just the overall effort and desire to keep it as close as possible.
Yeah, no, that's honestly very, number one, very in-depth, brief update in regards to that match in itself. I definitely have to agree with you. Like, as somebody who's not a fan of either or team, there is so much credit to be given to Everton being like the toughness that they showed in that whole entire game against arguably the best, maybe second best team in all of Europe, as we've said it. Like, honest to God, you guys almost made it look like Manchester City wasn't going to get anywhere because Sterling was struggling to get into the box. Gabriel Jesus was barely a factor, if anything, in there. Gondoin looked like he was just struggling, pissed off that he couldn't get anything done. Foden eventually ended up being switched to a different position where he was almost a striker, but not a striker. And even him, he was getting frustrated that every single chance that he was creating, Virginia was saving it. Like, number one, huge credit to Carlo Ancelotti playing a risky card right there with your third string goalie at this point, giving him such a game to play and giving him such a high stage overall because now this dude, I can guarantee you, people across the English Premier League are going to be looking at him and saying, that's my backup goalie. That's going to be my backup goalie because he just did such a great job. He even looked, in my opinion, he looked better than Pickford has done all season long, in my opinion. But besides that, like you said, you have no James Rodriguez to create plays for you. You got no Abdoulaye Doucouré to kind of be the centerpiece to complement Allen. Allen also played a phenomenal game. He was basically the stopping force of all the attack of Manchester City. Nobody could get past him. And if they were getting past him, it was either the ball or the body, but it wasn't both. You hear that as you're playing junior high, like soccer and whatever, but it's such a true factor. You never let both get past you. Holgate looked real good too. I was surprised at the substitution, but it was a substitution that was needed anyways. Overall, the whole team looked good. The only one person that was kind of worrisome to me at times, but now that I look back a little bit more, not so much, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. But unfortunately, he didn't have somebody that was there to support him and give him that supporting role like a James Rodriguez or like a Doucouré would. That's the second sneeze we get on air. Hell yeah! Hell yeah!
Let's go, Fastiano. That was the highlight.
No man. That previous sneeze last week, I really thought he was just gonna be like, boom, collision against the.
I thought we were gonna have to call an ambulance home.
I thought so too, man. I thought so too. I don't want that intelligence to get rattled. Not like that. But anyways.
No, I mean I think you guys touched upon everything in Man City. It was a good game overall, and then City just blew it open in the last minute.
Pep Guardiola knew exactly what he was doing at that 75th minute when he brought in Kevin De Bruyne. If he hadn't done that, forget it. That game would have gone to penalties, and I can guarantee you that with the way that Virginia was playing, Everton would have won that one. because of Virginia. But regardless of what happened yesterday, great job, great game. I mean, if anything, for Everton, the focus right now is continue to fight in the English Premier League, get in the top four, top five, continue to do your damn thing. And honestly, nothing but just huge praise to Carlo Ancelotti. That Everton this year were a phenomenal team, just a phenomenal team to watch overall. Southampton versus Bournemouth, of course, we knew what was going to happen there. Southampton just they look deadly. Now Chelsea versus Sheffield United just ended. Chelsea moves on 2-0 against Sheffield United. That sucks with that new coach. Unfortunately, they are in the heckin' bottom of the table, and his last name is Heckingbottom. So seems like a match made in heaven. And then we got the Foxes versus the Devils. If this game wasn't more stacked than anything else before, I don't know what else is. These two have had a history, literally for the past 3 years now, where they have faced each other for very consequential matches. Last year was who would go to the Champions League. It came down to literally that game between them two, where Manchester United won because the Foxes just fell asleep and they blew it. I wonder what the situation is going to be this year. I'm going to kick it off to Chris. Give us a quick update on what you think it's there, because that game is coming up and we're going to be streaming that. And I can't wait for that. You guys are probably going to see me eat my nails or whatever it's going to be there.
Cry? Am I going to see Diego cry today?
Nah, not cry, but potentially be
disappointed.
Probably be as sour as you when Liverpool loses on live stream. Like,
yeah. It's my favorite. Yeah, love it. I think it's going to be a good game from top to bottom. Obviously, I think United's going to get the edge today. But sorry, I had something stuck in my hair. I was looking at it. I just think personally, Leicester is going to go on like a collision course, and they're just going to slowly spiral their way out of the top four in the EPL. And I think we're going to see the start of it today. So Man United today over Leicester City. And I'll give the score prediction on stream.
I was going to say, what would you – oh, okay. Because I was going to say, what would you give a score prediction? But
people can watch us on stream.
You're teasing us. All right.
Also, by the way, just so everybody knows, the semifinal draw will take place at halftime of Manchester United and Leicester City.
Oh, my God.
So that will be another thing to look out for on the stream, is us recapping that during halftime. At least we'll have something to talk about.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to bring that up because for the first time, we'll actually have something to talk about during halftime instead of just guessing on substitutions and stuff. But I could see this game going either way, to be honest with you. I think it's going to be very competitive. Something that we mentioned before we started recording was that Man United obviously had a very competitive Europa League game in the middle of the week. Leicester has had a week of rest. So does that play a role at all? Does that favor one team over the other? Obviously, Man United's coming off a win, so maybe they use that momentum to come out firing on all cylinders in this game. I think it's going to be a good one. I'm looking forward to watching it with you guys. I think I picked Man United last week when we gave our predictions, so I'm going to stick with that. I still think they have enough going for them right now to get the win, but I think it's going to be a good one.
Diego, I just want you to know I'm betting Manchester United, and whenever I bet Manchester United, they win. So you can thank me in advance.
Man,
I know what you're going to say too. Go ahead.
No, you don't. I'm not a betting man by any means, and I actually am really worried about this game. Andrew pointed out the fact that we played a very tough and competitive Europa League match. We absolutely did. And if it wasn't for Paul Pogba returning, coming in, and being as deadly as he was against AC Milan, we more than likely would have never moved on, being just frankly honest. I think the contributing factor here has got to be for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to switch up their defensive corps, because Harry Maguire is going to look like an incredibly tired man because he had a very tough match against AC Milan, and he actually played really good, but it required a lot of his physicality and required a lot out of him. he's not going to be the same exact person against Leicester City. Who knows? Maybe he'll surprise us, but I don't think he's going to bring it all like he did against AC Milan. Um, I think if I was Solskjaer in this case scenario, I'd almost be going with the Lindelof, Bailly defensive corps rather than Lindelof and Maguire, simply because of what I mentioned previously. You also going to require Luke Shaw to play here because if there's anybody in the whole entire Premier League that can shut down Jamie Vardy physically, it's Luke Shaw. Quickness and physicality wise, Luke Shaw will always shut down Jamie Vardy left and right when the opportunity presents itself. Wan-Bissaka is going to be required to play here. We need somebody as good as him in the right wing. I'm not sure what to do in the mid pieces because you got Fred, you got McTominay, you got Matic. Matic played actually really good, but I'm concerned that because of his age and the quickness that Leicester City has shown throughout the whole entire Premier League, is going to eventually catch up to him. So I'm not sure that I would play Matic, but offensively wise, you have got to play Cavani. You have to play Cavani or you have to play Greenwood and give Daniel James the opportunity in the right wing because Daniel James has proven time to time when he's given that opportunity, he's actually been delivering. He did very well against AC Milan when he played. In fact, I think if it wasn't thanks to him for that opportunity that he put on for Pogba, again we wouldn't have won that game. So I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has got to go a little bit outside of the box here, outside of the typical that he goes with. You can't trust Anthony Martial to be the opportunity up front. You really need to come in all or nothing into this match. And like I said, where so much physicality and so much quickness is going to be required, Martial is just he just doesn't play the quick game. He's more of a mental thinking piece in the whole game rather than a quick up, run down and go. And that's where Cavani is. Cavani is lethal. So good luck to Manchester United. I personally think that Leicester is going to give us a very good run for our money. In fact, I think this could even be like an Everton versus Manchester United matchup. So yes, yes, I'm sorry.
I have one stat before we conclude this episode, by the way. In their last 25 meetings between the two, do you know how many times Leicester City has won?
I think Leicester City has won like 5 times.
Is it
In their
0?
last 25, Leicester is 1-5-19 against Manchester United. 1-5-19. And they're 0-4-9 in their last 13 games since their 5-3 win at home in September 2014.
That's a tough round.
Just so you know.
The other thing that I just noticed that I didn't see before, I'm looking at the injury list, and it looks like both teams actually might be pretty short-handed for this game. It looks like Harvey Barnes and Maddison will both be out for Leicester, and Cavani, Martial, Bailly, and Rashford could all be out for United. So we could see some interesting lineups.
So that leaves Amad Diallo and Shola Shortire to actually be the difference makers here for Manchester United. Well, Amad Diallo could actually be a difference maker because he did it anyways against AC Milan last week when they played, and he looked good. He looks good. He's deadly as well. So that leaves to Greenwood up front, or maybe Marcus Rashford up front. But what does that do for the wings? Because now you only have Daniel James in the right wing.
Let's find out on the stream.
Yeah,
we'll find out on the stream. Absolutely. But anyways, that wraps it up for episode 29. Continue to check out Couch Guy Sports, who is presenting the Yellow Card podcast to you this day and age. Follow us on YouTube, follow us on Spotify, follow us on SoundCloud, follow us on Twitter. You can find us there at all times. Like I said earlier, check out CouchGuySports.com. Daily content on all sports coming to you. Check out the Couch Guy Sports store, CouchGuySportsShop.com. And lastly, check out the Twitch channel because that baby is delivering content basically 4 out of 5 days a week.
There's 7 days in a week.
Well, if you look at the business week, that's all. But with that said, that does it for episode 29. Signing off, your host Diego Galvez, Chris Jones, and Andrew Fasciano. See you guys all next week.